Greetings, welcome, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, supporting you with healing experiences, coaching, and encouragement during your life changes, challenges, and transitions. Thanks for joining me in this episode of Ask the Stones, where I offer answers to your spiritual questions and encouragement for your journey. Greetings. Welcome to this episode of Ask the Stones. Thank you for tuning in. Our question is from Kira. Kira asks, how do you get out of your own head? Thank you, Kira, for this question. Right to the point. I love it. So I'm going to assume, Kira, that what you're asking is, or what you're saying is, that you are having lots of thoughts that are running through your head. Maybe they're thoughts that are racing. Maybe these are thoughts that are repeating. So you are kind of, in a sense, bogged down by your thoughts, and you're feeling the need to get away from your thoughts. Which, you know, if we really think about it, is actually kind of impossible to, quote, get away from our thoughts, or to get out of our own head. This is quite a challenge, but I can say that yes, I do have ways that I use to decrease the thoughts, because we all have these experiences where we get fixated on a topic, fixated on a thought, fixated. Oftentimes it's a worry, right? Where we are very worried about something and we keep thinking about it and we can't stop thinking about it. I'm assuming, Kira, that this is what you're getting at, this idea of not being able to stop thinking about something and just wanting to get away from that thought, to just get out of your own head as a way to get away from those thoughts. Yes, we've all been there, haven't we? And we all have those experiences where we're thinking about something that we don't want to keep thinking about. Like I said, usually it's a worry that this is the time when we want to get out of our own head. So absolutely, there are techniques for doing this, and there are ways that you can approach it, and ways that I approach it too. One way that you could approach this is to maybe think not so much about getting out of your head as so much as just recognizing and acknowledging. So rather than getting out of your head, embracing the thoughts in your head and acknowledging them and saying, okay, I'm feeling worry about this particular thing. Why am I feeling this way? What is causing this? What's at the root of it? And asking yourself some deep questions so that you can uncover the reasons behind these thoughts. So let's say that you are worried about, let's say you're a student, Kira, and you are worried about an upcoming exam. And you are thinking and thinking about this. I'm so worried about this exam. Maybe instead of trying to get out of those thoughts, ask yourself why you're having those thoughts. Why am I worried about this exam? Oh, I'm worried about this exam because I haven't studied. Maybe you might want to study instead of worrying about how you're going to do on the exam. But asking yourself questions about why you're having the thoughts that you're having, and what's at their root. Or, for instance, maybe if you're worried about becoming ill, or someone you love becoming ill, asking yourself why you're having those worries, and getting really to the center of those thoughts. So rather than getting out of the thoughts, getting even deeper into them and asking yourself why you're having them, what's at the center of them. Oftentimes when we have persistent thoughts, whether of worry or something else, some other feeling or emotion, maybe persistent anger, it can actually be very helpful for us not to quote unquote run away from them or get away from them, but to rather ask ourselves why we're having them, to stop and to think about the thoughts and the feelings and where they're coming from, why we're having them, and what's at the root of them. If you keep asking questions, you are going to get deeper and deeper with the answers. And so not maybe fearing the feelings that you're having, but rather embracing them in terms of an inquisitive, quizzical kind of way about what's going on here. What is this all about? What's at the center of this? Our tendency when we have a challenge is to run away from it, to distract ourselves from it, to ignore it, pretend it's not happening, or to get away from it. And so this often can serve to be a detriment to us because we aren't uncovering the reasons why we're having these feelings and what they might reveal to us. So my first recommendation for you, Kira, is going to be a little counterintuitive, where I'm going to encourage you maybe not to get out of your own head, but maybe get a little bit more into your own head. I use a metaphor to kind of describe this idea of not running away from our thoughts and feelings. And I think about it like a car. So if you have a car and you have a sound that's happening in the engine, and you're wondering, what is that sound? Maybe if I ignore it, it'll just go away. We are afraid to pop the hood and to look at the engine and see what might be wrong, because we are afraid of the big problems that we might find and that therefore we will have to deal with. And we are oftentimes just hoping that the sound goes away. Well, good news for those of you who drive cars, sometimes the sound does go away. But more often than not, there is something there that you are hearing that is maybe not a problem right now, but if you ignore it and leave it alone, it will be a problem. So I am going to encourage you to not be afraid to lift the hood and look at what's going on with the engine. We are afraid to pop the hood because we're afraid of what we're going to find there and the problems that we don't want to deal with. But when you can find these problems sooner rather than later, it's often going to be a lot less costly for you to fix, literally and figuratively. So Kira, pop that hood and find out why you are having the types of thoughts that you're having, the persistent questions, the worry, the anxiety, whatever it might be. Ask yourself some of these questions to get a little bit deeper. Why am I having these feelings? What are these feelings revealing to me, these thoughts? If I were to look at these feelings outside of myself, so this idea of getting outside of your head, yeah, try that out in terms of looking at it from someone else's perspective, from a different point of view. So that's one recommendation, Kira, for, quote, getting out of your head, is to actually get a little bit more into your head and find out what might be going on there. That can help you to decrease the thoughts that you're having. If you can get to the root of the problem, then you can take steps to improve it. If you can find out why your engine is making noise, then you can fix it and drive away. So that's one recommendation. Another one, of course, is meditation. And this is people are thinking, oh, meditation. Yes, meditation. Yes, meditation. In meditation, there's this idea, this maybe I'll say incorrect idea that meditation is all about emptying the thoughts in your head. And the truth is that trying to not think of anything is almost impossible. It's the kind of thing where there's this famous study about the polar bear, and the researcher said, okay, don't think of a polar bear or a white bear or whatever exactly it was in the study, but don't think of a white bear. What did people think about? Yeah, they thought about a white bear, because anytime you put a thought, you say, don't think about something, don't think about something, don't think about the thoughts in my head, you're going to think about the thoughts. So in meditation, if you're sitting and thinking, don't think, don't think, don't think, you're actually thinking when you are thinking, don't think. So I like to think of this as a cup. Your brain is a cup. And the cup is always full. The cup always runneth over. That's how our brains operate. But it's up to you what you fill the cup up with. Now, you can fill the cup up with those persistent thoughts, that feeling of, oh, I keep thinking about this, I keep worrying about this, I can't stop thinking about this. Then your cup is definitely running over, and it is a challenge for you. So rather than emptying out, rather than dumping out the cup, which is incredibly difficult. Yes, I'm probably going to get some people who say, well, Christian, I can meditate and not think of anything. Yes. As a matter of fact, I have had moments of that too, where you're not thinking anything. And then you think, oh my gosh, I wasn't just thinking anything. My mind was totally blank. And then in a brief moment, as soon as you realize that you weren't thinking, you're thinking, and it's gone. So, if you have had this experience, wonderful, and you also know that it's not something that lasts for very long. But the trick here is not to dump out the cup, but to rather fill the cup up with other things. So just briefly, in meditation, one way that you can do this is to focus on the breath and to think of the breath as you are sitting and focusing. It's on something very simple, maybe a mantra, a word, your breath, whatever it might be. Bringing the focus to that singular point. So meditation can help with this, because meditation is all about the purposeful slowing down of our thoughts and the purposeful calming of our mind. But this technique works outside of meditation too. So Kira, when you find your mind racing and you're having lots of different thoughts, it's all about filling up that cup with different things. So what else would you want to fill that cup up with? When you are having these thoughts, worry, racing thoughts, stop and just breathe. Take a breath. Focus on that breath. And focus in on that present moment. Really, Kira, that is distraction. Let's be honest that this is what it is. You are having lots of these thoughts that are bothering you. You can't get out of your own head. Your mind's racing. What do you do? Distract yourself by being present. Distract yourself by coming into the present moment. Come into the present moment. The quickest way to get into the present moment, your breath. The number one way that you can do this. And the good news is that you have it available to you all of the time, anytime. Our breath is so much more powerful than we give it credit for. And it is an incredibly effective way for you to, quote, get out of your own head and bring yourself back to the present moment. So your breath. One way that I really like to, quote, get out of my own head is that when I feel myself having thoughts, maybe I'm feeling angry about something and I just can't stop feeling angry about something. Gratitude. That is the way, one way, but a big way that I will, quote, get myself out of my own head. And I will stop myself and think about things that I am grateful for. So I will stop and count off on my fingers things that I'm grateful for. And I have 10 fingers, which I'm grateful for. So I will count off 10 things in that moment that I'm grateful for. And that does help me. I also, by the way, Kira, as far as gratitude is concerned, can tell whenever I'm feeling out of sorts myself, when I'm not feeling as grateful as I usually do. I am a big believer in gratitude. As a matter of fact, I believe it is the number one way to a more fulfilled and fulfilling life, and the number one way to a more spiritual life and a deeper, more meaningful life. And so I can tell when I am not feeling myself, when I notice that I have not been practicing gratitude and I just haven't been feeling as grateful as I usually do. So I am going to recommend, it's something that I do, gratitude as a way for you to get out of the thoughts that you are having, to get out of those persistent feelings of worry, anxiety, whatever it might be, and distract yourself. Distract yourself from those persistent, unhelpful, and even harmful thoughts that you might be having. The ones that you keep having and just don't feel good. And that you don't want to be having because you don't want to continue to worry about your exam. You just want to go study for the exam and do well, right? Yes. So those are my top recommendations for getting out of your own head. Other ways, of course, are anything that is going to focus you in the moment and bring your awareness to the moment. Music is really great for this, especially more meditative kinds of music, or any kind of music, Kira, that you listen to. Even hard rock headbanging is going to take you out of those persistent thoughts and bring you into the present moment of the music. Of course, I do play the flute, and so this is one way that I like to bring myself out of quote-unquote my head and focus in on the moment and be present. So that is a way that I do it, whether to play music, to listen to music, or to actually play the music myself. So I find that very helpful for calming myself, calming my mind, and bringing awareness back to the moment. And that's really what is at the heart of this, Kira, is bringing yourself back to the present. to distract yourself. It's the same kind of thing where if you are a smoker and you want to quit smoking and you have a craving for a cigarette, if you distract yourself, if you fill up that desire for the cigarette with something else, you are going to be distracting yourself from that. And after a few moments, your mind is going to be off on some other tangent, doing something else. You find that you have the craving again. Okay, stop. Rather than reaching for the cigarette, filling that moment up with something else. So, Kira, it's not about an absence, it's about a presence. And our thoughts are the same way. It's not about emptying the thoughts out of your head, it's about filling them up with other things. So it's not about stopping the worry, the anxiety. It's about replacing those thoughts and feelings with something else. So I want to encourage you that rather than thinking, how do I get out of my own head? Think about how you can turn your thoughts towards other things. How you can replace those thoughts with other thoughts that you prefer. A couple other suggestions for you. Walking is so great to help you clear your mind, to help come up with new solutions. I'm also a huge proponent of walking. And this can be really helpful for you. Another way is writing. I'm also a huge proponent of journaling. And journaling can help you get the thoughts down on paper, get the worry out on the page, and there it is right there in front of you. And you can, in a sense, get these things off of your chest in order to then make way, clear the way for moving on to other thoughts. So these are a few recommendations, Kira. This is a challenge that, of course, we all face. We all face in our lives, and we face it again and again and again. Such is the human experience. But the more techniques you have, the better you will get at it. And the sooner you'll be able to see or tell or feel when you're starting to have persistent thoughts that make you want to get out of your head and make you want to stop the thoughts and stop the thinking. The more tools you have in your toolbox, the better prepared you are for when that happens. And at some point, the less it will happen, the less you will have those persistent thoughts, the worry, because you will know what you need to do, and you will be training your mind to already go there. So those are some recommendations for you. Kira, I'm going to pull a rune for you, a Viking rune, and let's see what kind of guidance we might have on this topic. So let's just take a moment and let's clear our thoughts. Let's take a breath. And as a matter of fact, Kira, we know from research that 3 deep cleansing breaths will help to reset your mind. And when the out breath is longer than the in breath, so when your exhalation is longer than your inhalation, that also really helps to reset too. So let's call in our guides. And let's see what kind of message we might have from the Viking runes. Oh, this is one of my favorite runes. This is the rune of protection. And We all feel the need for protection in our lives, don't we? Oftentimes from these kinds of persistent thoughts. And, when we have these thoughts, this worry, we can sometimes often feel that we need to be protected from them, that we need protection from the own thoughts in our own brain. This idea of getting out of our own head and getting away from them. Protect me from my thoughts. When the truth is that we are in control. So Kira, if you're having these feelings of wanting to get out of your own mind, you are in control of changing the thoughts that you are thinking. I'm also feeling from this rune of protection the idea that you can call on your guides to assist you with this. You are always protected. You do always have assistance. And so don't be afraid to call upon your guides to assist you. Maybe if you're having worry, to take those deep breaths and ask your guides, ask your angels to help you to focus on other things. And maybe to help you focus on things you're grateful for, help you to focus on the wonderful class that you're taking in which you are having this dreaded exam. To just remind you that there are other things that you can focus your thoughts on. There are always other things that you can choose to think about. So you are protected, Kira. Your angels and guides are with you to assist you. The universe, the earth is here with you. So please remember that as well as you are working to quote unquote get out of your own head. So thank you, Kira, for this great question, which is a question that we all work with during our lives. And I want to encourage everyone to, anytime you are feeling these kinds of thoughts, we'll just say any kind of negative thoughts, one additional excellent way is to encourage others. So if you are feeling bogged down by these thoughts, and you really want to stop worrying about that exam, reach out to one of your classmates and encourage your classmate in that exam. Encourage your family and friends in their lives. Encourage strangers. This is a wonderful way for you to get out of your own head. This is a wonderful way for you to change your thoughts. And so I want to encourage all of us to encourage one another on our journeys, which can be challenging and sometimes make us just want to get out of our own heads. So Kira, thank you for this question. Thank you. Blessings to all of you and best wishes. Again, I am Christian of Standing Stones Healing Company. I am here to support you with healing experiences, coaching, and encouragement for your life changes, challenges, and transitions. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Ask the Stones. If you have a question for the Stones, visit standingstoneshealing.com or connect on Facebook at Standing Stones Healing to get support through your life changes, challenges, and transitions. Thank you, and best wishes for your journey.